Hello, 12A. So as you can see, you've got your research into the plan today. So we're going to be looking at putting our seminar research into our plan and finalise our plan. So I would recommend that you have your research helper as well as your original seminar plan out in front of you. Please feel free to press pause to get yourself all ready. Okay. So first, what I'd like you to do is review your initial plan. So from my initial plan, have I found evidence to prove my points? So you might have initially said, oh, I want to talk about this particular thing. However, you haven't found the evidence, and so you might have to remove or disclude that. So check your research helper and think, have you got any new ideas or directions? So as you've done your research, you might have changed your opinion on something. For instance, I had someone doing a seminar on animal cruelty, so not animal cruelty, animal testing. And initially that person said that he was for animal testing, didn't understand why anyone wouldn't be for animal testing. And so he was going to write his seminar on that. By the end of it, he was against animal testing and actually had to really flip the focus of his seminar upside down. And that's absolutely fine. That's part of the fun of researching and developing your knowledge on a topic. So if you've decided that you'd like to change direction a little bit, if you've got some new ideas, then that's brilliant. Yeah, this is at this time, it's good to sort of review and work out what you want your focus of your seminar to be on. Should you remove any ideas or add from the original idea? So anything that you need to take away or things that you'd like to add. And then decide which points you're going to include. So that's the first thing. So that's just a quick overview of, okay, what am I going to include? What am I going to remove? What am I going to add? So then you want to review your research in detail. So highlight the points that you feel are strongest to support your seminar. Cross out the points you feel are irrelevant to your, I've written essay, your seminar, and then number the highlighted points in accordance with your plan, structure, and order. So you're just using your research helper to highlight what you're going to include and then number that in accordance with your plan. What you will need to do is open up a new copy of the planning template because you will be making changes to it. So then you need to create your final plan. So decide how you're going to organise your argument. You might have changed how you'd like to organise it. Start with what you were going to have last and finish with what you were going to have first. Considering your research and your plan, decide on the purpose of each section. So here you can see I've written that in the second section, I'm going to do some history. I'm going to talk about where we originally found our information, the development of social media, change in how we've obtained social media and the benefits. So I'm going to put lots of detail. I'm going to take from my research helper and then put directly into my plan. And over here you can see I'm going to use image of the newspaper, just so that's a picture of a newspaper while I'm talking about these things. Then I'll have an image of Churchill because I'm going to counterbalance that with the concept of Churchill as a leader in comparison to Trump as a leader to make it really relevant to my audience. So in the next class, we're going to talk about developing your PowerPoint presentation. So I won't go into too much detail, but keep in mind as you're doing your final plan, what sort of things you could do to gain the interest and passion of your audience. So review, think again, does the sequence make sense? Could it be better? And then input your research into your plan. So we're really going to bulk this up. It's going to be a big, chunky plan that's going to have all of your details in it, which is really going to help with your PowerPoint presentation and going to help with your final speech. So once you've actually completed your full bulky plan and you've got all of your details and all of your information, you're going to decide on how you're going to prepare your speech. Here are two examples of what you could do. So you could, so you could start, you could just use your plan and have it highly detailed, and I'll talk about that in further detail in a moment, or you could actually write the entire speech out. So this speech that you see here on the right hand side, was given by Martin Luther King, one of the most famous speeches of all time. The interesting thing about Martin Luther King is although he wrote his speeches out fully, he also sounded really authentic, and it sounded like he was just speaking off the top of his head. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So if you want to use your plan as a speech, the good thing is it can increase the authenticity because you're not memorizing, so you're going to sound less like a machine or a robot. However, you do need a highly detailed plan. You need to know exactly on which slide or which point what information you're going to include. You need to link your points through sentences naturally or off the top of your head. So you wouldn't have memorized your speech. You're just going to be going, okay, this is going to talk about this, and then this, and then this, and then this, okay? Rather than having it, again, like I said, memorized. It requires that you know your topic inside and out. So you probably know what you're passionate about. You could probably do a speech right now and make it very authentic in talking about it. But if I said to someone that loves computers to talk to me about Jane Austen, who's one of my favourite writers, it's unlikely they would be able to be authentic or flow in their speech. So the PowerPoint and the plan need to be extremely closely linked if you're going to use this version for your speech. Okay, so this is using a plan as your speech. Absolutely, completely acceptable. It depends on how you want to develop it. The other option, as I showed you Martin Luther King's speech, is writing out the whole speech. And you know that presidents have, presidents or politicians across the world, they have speech writers. So it's definitely not something to shun away from. It ensures that you're not going to miss out on any information. However, it does require you to memorize the speech, but at the same time, make it sound natural when you're speaking, which takes a lot of practice to do. You need to work on your tone of voice and your expression to just make it authentic. You will not be allowed to read off a paper when you give your seminar. So you can have palm cards to quickly remind you what you're going to say next, but you cannot read it. So if you are going to write the full speech out, you are going to need to research it. So it's great for editing though, and it really can make your whole presentation perfect. So it's kind of it's writing an essay basically, but putting your personality into the essay. So you can use emotive language, rhetorical questions, laughter, shock, etc. But as I said, it's completely up to you what you feel more natural with, what you prefer to do. However, you will be required to hand in either your full speech that you've written or your detailed plan so that I can have a look at it and give you some suggestions and recommendations. As I said, I really want to give you the highest possible marks. This is the last opportunity for us to give you an excellent GPA mark, and I would really like you to feel proud of what you create for this final seminar. So what I'd like you to do in this class is your review of your initial plan. Highlight the information from your research helper that you'll use. Number the information from your research helper in the order that you're going to use it. And then with the plan and the research helper, write your final seminar plan. Everyone needs to still do the plan, and then decide whether you're going to write your full speech or use a detailed seminar plan. In the next class, we're going to talk about the PowerPoint presentation because I think it's going to be beneficial to work on your speech and the presentation at the same time. If we do them separately, it's going to require even more editing. So I think if we do it at the same time, it's going to be more efficient for you and we're going to get a better product. Okay, so that's all from today. If you have any questions, as usual, I'm on WeChat. If you would like to send a picture of what you're thinking in terms of your speech, if you're thinking about writing it or you'd prefer to use a plan, feel free to send through just the beginning to make sure you don't complete it and then you've done it incorrectly. Okay, so always here to help. Thank you very much. So off you go, and I will see you in the next class.